Thanks for joining us. We continue to follow breaking news out of Atlanta, where two planes have made contact at one of the world's busiest airports. We want to take you live pictures from Hartsfield-Jackson Airport so you can see one of the damaged planes here. And you can see a slew of police activity and lights as people are on that tarmac investigating. Looks like the filter for this live feed just switched up, so it's a little bit brighter. There we go. Now, the FAA says a Delta Airlines flight 295 was taxiing for departure just after 10 o'clock Eastern this morning when its wingtip struck the tail of another plane, the Endeavor Air Flight 5526. The Delta plane was headed to Tokyo. The Endeavor was headed to Lafayette, Louisiana. So, of course, these are aerial images that we are showing you live. And it looks like right now this is a very wide shot of the scene here of the airport. Now the helicopter pilot is zooming in here, and we can see several fire trucks on scene. And it appears, if you see toward the center of your screen, the tail of that plane appears to be knocked off. This is consistent with some photos that our CBS affiliate in Atlanta has obtained. I want to go now to CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve. Chris, you have been reporting over numerous incidents, near misses. This is certainly not a near miss here. We have two planes making contact.
Yeah, this really amounts to a slow-speed collision as these planes were moving about the tarmac at Atlanta Airport, it appears. The Delta Endeavor flight, that's a regional carrier that serves as Delta Connection. So these were essentially two Delta planes, one bound for Lafayette, Louisiana, the other for Tokyo, that made contact. But the A350 is the biggest airplane in Delta's fleet. So it's a bit like a semi-truck and a small sedan coming together for a fender bender. The small sedan is going to take it on the chin a lot harder than the big airplane. And in this case...
I mean, obviously, if a car hits a damn semi-truck, obviously the car is going to be more damaged. But that's a good analogy, though. I have to give it to him. Shout out to Chris Van Cleve for that analogy. That was very good.
The wing, it appears the wingtip of the A350 essentially severed what we would know as the tail or the stabilizer on the back of the plane. The passengers on board the A350 probably felt a thud. I imagine the folks on the much smaller plane, a CRJ 900, would have felt that far more intensely. We understand from Delta there were 221 passengers on Delta 295 bound for Japan. 56 people were on 5526 bound for Lafayette. No reports of any injuries. Delta says it is going to cooperate with the NTSB and other authorities that will ultimately investigate this. Waiting to hear back from the NTSB about what level of investigation they're going to take. The FAA will certainly look into it.
So, Chris, I don't know if you have return, but from what I'm seeing here in the live pictures is what we're looking at here. This is sort of the Delta carrier. This is the smaller plane whose stabilizer was knocked off. This plane was unable to taxi on its own, unlike the Delta A350. That was able to taxi to the concourse where passengers could deplane. On this plane, passengers were bussed.
Correct.
And there, we should mention no injuries were reported, but go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no injuries reported. It doesn't sound like, when we say two planes collided, I think people fear the worst, right? Like this was in the air or high speed. It doesn't look like that at all. But just the amount of force when you're moving a giant airplane, even at 10 miles an hour, it's enough to cause a significant amount of damage to something smaller. That's what played out here. Not surprising.
I agree. When you hear two planes collide, of course, you're going to think the worst is going to be like, oh, snap. Don't tell me they crashed in the air, like that. But then that would have been serious news. But this is still serious because it happened on the tarmac. People could have been, rattled. You might have possibly a person who have a weak heart, like, oh my God, so you have to make sure that everybody is safe. And thank God nobody is seriously hurt. And, we just have to keep thinking about, hey, this is things that happens.
Surprising that they're not going to try to move the smaller plane because, we don't know how separated that tail section is from the airplane. You don't want to do additional damage to the runway, to the tarmac, to the airport operations. It will likely need to be towed once they've assessed the damage and sort of finished their investigation.
Okay, and yeah, this vantage point is much easier to see that tail, or as Chris said, the stabilizer there on its side. We're going to continue to monitor these live images. Chris is going to continue to gather more information. We're going to have much more coverage on this happening at the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport throughout our show and throughout the afternoon. Chris, thanks.
Crazy. Things like this can happen, and Atlanta is a very, very big airport. One of the largest airports, if not the largest airport in America. So many flights go through there. So I wouldn't even say I'm shocked. I would say I'm glad that this is just something, that little thing happened right here. Yes, okay, we have to go through the FAA and have to make sure that everybody, we try to figure out exactly what happened. Maybe it was miscalculations between the pilots and stuff like that. But thank God no one is hurt. Everyone is safe. And hey, they probably got another plane and kept it moving. But of course, they're going to have to do their investigations to make sure that everything is good and to make sure that this does not happen again. I would say this: shout out to Atlanta Airport, because like I said, they keep going, they keep moving, they keep going, and they make sure that you get to where you got to go. Shout out to the pilots who do what they have to do every single day. Make moves, make sure that they try to their best to get you there as safe as possible. Shout out to the workers, shout out to the students, shout out to the people who help move us. I really appreciate them. I was in Atlanta a couple of months ago. I was trying to invest in a property, but your boy didn't get it. But that's okay. That's neither here or there. But this is something that, thank God, is not as serious as it is, or as what people thought it would be, or was actually. And thank God that nobody was hurt and people can go about their daily lives. After this investigation gets concluded, people will see exactly, what happened, and we'll find out and try to go from there. So we just have to keep moving forward. We have to keep doing what we got to do and making sure everything is good. And, just try our best to do what needs to be done so that we can feel safe with flying. I feel that flying in the air is the safest way to travel. It is the quickest way to travel when it comes down to flying long distances. And I feel that our pilots, our other workers that's on the plane, they do a magnificent job. The air flight controllers and stuff like that, they do a magnificent job. The people on the ground, they do a magnificent job. And shout out to all of them. I really appreciate from all of the workers who help move us, because without them, we wouldn't have what we have, the type of transportation we have in America. Shout out to the United States of America for being able to make sure that we continuously build these things so that we can be able to move and see our great country and the world. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys.